Not only did this country demand that if you want to work with the government, so essentially if you want to become a tendapreneur, you gotta give 30% of your business. That's what's good. You gotta employ within management 30% equity, inclusion, diversity, people, BEE, broad-based, black economic, you get my point, all that race-based law stuff. Yeah, there was a time when, okay, listen, if you want to be a tendapreneur with the government, you gotta have 30% black management. Now it's anybody at all with a business. You gotta have 30% black management. What is happening? I mean, people are pushing back and they are utterly refusing to honor this anymore, because you see, when justice is not awarded you by a structure that ought give justice, like a figure of authority, you're gonna take matters into your own hands and give yourself justice, right? You are. And vigilante justice is a form of anarchy that results in debilitated buildings. You do know that, right? It's not like a neatened little police raid pertaining a murderer in the hood that is going to break down a door, using that break down a door thing and then give you a letter and say that you can claim from the state compensation for the door that has been broken, mama, because we had to arrest your son. No, it's just breaking down a building and there's no compensation, so it's called debilitated structures. It's called war ravaging. It's called war torn. It's called it's done for. It's called desolate wasteland. It's called Damascus is now a ruinous heap. But instead of Damascus, it's Johannesburg. I mean, why exactly are you still sitting like a churchgoer before a charlatan pastor when that pastor is preaching to you that it is absolutely a-okay to withhold from farmers water because they're white? I mean, you do know that crop grows with water. Did you do rudimentary grade 8 biology? Chlorophyll needs the sun, and water is necessary for the whole process of photosynthesis that, I don't know, crop might be brought forth. And if at all you don't have water, you have something called a famine. And I have been saying it, randos, for a minute. I had a dream where the shelves of Afrique du Sud, since we're going to be fancy with French, were empty. FMCGs had no food. They were empty. And I also had a dream where there were like snake-like queues and food was chained behind bars like little miscreants of criminals. And people were being rationed what they could buy because they were not allowed to buy in bulk. Snake-like queues, buggers. Just like in the days of COVID, but this time around the epidemic is you. If at all you are going to withhold water from white farmers in favor of black farmers because you're on that E-tip, just like the LGBTQIA acronym that has no end to itself. Yeah, when you keep on doing stuff like that, those who put food on Woolies shelves, Checkers, Pick and Pay, proper. I could go on Lily Plaza that are busy selling arsenic to little children, killing them. There's not going to be any way to find food, even poisoned food. It's going to dwindle the food supply in the nation. With all of these tariff hikes as well as that Trump, it's only going to get worse. With AGOA looking like it's on its way out, saying au revoir, au revoir. What makes you think we're going to be maintained with any kind of health in our bones? Who's going to be out here feeding you? Because you won't even allow Bill Gates' GMO rota crop to grow on your shores. Because, I mean, why would he come here and invest in a nation that is insisting that you're white? Give me 30% of your money. You know how they did that with Starlink at Elon Musk? I'm sorry. Wait again. Be gone. Be gone. Get thee behind me, Sadani. Do that. Namalang, I cannot have alone. I can I'm literally done. I'm exhausted. I am beleaguered beyond myself with frustration. I am adoring the prospect of shutting you off altogether, but I mean, look at me still be in these shores. I can errate. You have ruined a country. And I was among the first people to highlight that, listen guys, something's wrong with my social media perpetually uploading, status update, lambasting mom. She has not posted for like a good minute. So duh, she could be dead in a bush. I was among the first people to say, hey, this can't give. You're not gonna be good. Because this rubbish was happening right in my backyard. I was being endured through more injustice in this country than I had ever seen in just the space of 1 month. That I'd seen my whole entire life, and at the time I was 29. I'm 40 now, so in 1 month, it's been 10 years of like just compacted pressure to just die so the corrupt can take over. But like I said, 1,000 falls on the side, 10,000 on your right hand, but it doesn't come near me. I have lived through something that a lot of people die from. Micah Miller died from it. That story in the US. South Africa, as a nation, is perishing But if at all I've been given a job by the King of the Universe to speak about these matters, I will endure the same attrition that kills me, but I will survive, live to tell the story, so that my little pelican brief, like I'm Julia Roberts in that movie, can ultimately be shared, even though you will try to kill me in the run-up too. I am so exhausted, guys, that I can't even watch South African news. I'm struggling, even from independent news creators, like they wear me out. I hate reading their thumbnails. It's like, really, this is going on? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. Please blind me. Somebody give me blinkers. I don't want to see. I don't want to see. I don't want to see. But I mean, if I don't keep my ears on the ground, will I not then get verification or validation from God that that which he shows me in the spirit is truly coming to pass? It's grieving to gaze upon this nation. MTN. Let's go back to talking about them. It's 3:07 in the morning, so the sooner I get out of these pajamas, the better. I have to absolutely finish this massage, absent of which I'm not going to be good in the spirit, you know what I mean? Because sister, I gotta eat, I'm hungry, I'm famished, ravenous. I could eat you for breakfast because you gotta die, but I'm sorry, I'm not a cannibal, so we don't do that. But that's what you are going to end up doing at this rate, seeing as you're not going to have food on the FMCG shelves. Mamela, MTN, started working there at the age of 25, alright? And when I started working, the people who had been there for a minute would be the tantamount in that situation that I used analogically with the jogging mama that is out there in the wilderness dying before her time. The people who were like the kin, the next of kin, the friends, the family, the close, the ones who know that something is wrong, something is weird because Sandra has not posted in 3 hours, were staff members that I found there that had been there for a while. I told you MTN had one of the highest staff turnovers. Lowest staff turnovers in any company that I ever worked for. You found employees there that were chilling at my age, 25, for 5 years. So pretty much ever since they graduated varsity, they've been working for MTN, and it was strange. And then others who were a little bit older than me had been there for like 10 years. Others that had started with the organization. And those people, the stories that they told, they were like ones who were like, Mom has not been home for 3 hours, and she also has not posted that she is climbing one step in the mountain in 40 minutes. Something's wrong. They were the ones to discover that something is putrid. It's getting awry. Something's up at MTN. And they were happy over coffee at the canteen, just chatting, wasting company hours next to each other, just bickering or gossiping about the organization. They were happy to share their stories about how the company used to be. I came in when this kid was a teenager that was throwing his toys off the cart but still doing really well. I thought I was working for the best company in the world, but according to the staff that had been there for 5-10 years, some of them pretty much since Karabo and them started it in the very, very rudimentary years, yeah, they were like, you ain't seen Jack, girl. You ain't seen Jack. This is nothing. You think this is wonderful. You ain't seen Jack. I had come from banking, right? And y'all know, it's just dry. It's getting brown, navy, and drab, okay? Very dry in the banking space. And not only is it dry just in terms of the look and feel of the environment where you're working, it's also ridiculously crazy dry when it comes to salaries. I mean, a bank will actually give you a cost to company that looks like it is the size of Mount Everest. And then once you get your net salary, you're like, wah, 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 wah. Yeah. Banking salaries will disappoint the living daylights out of you, do you understand? And so I was always just used to being given little treats, little nitbits, small little finger bite-sized sandwiches to eat when I'm ravenous. Like, I'm famished, I need a buffet. And the banks where I used to work would actually give me finger sandwiches, hoping to satiate my hunger for a salary. Yeah, I went from working for such environments as those to now finally, when I'm given a gross salary, my net still looks kind of reasonable because listen, my company's paying literally half pension, half provident, whereas with the cost of company, they be out just saying, this is how much you're going to be earning per month. And you're paying all of your pension, you're paying all of your provident, you're paying all of your, yeah, you will end up singing that Hamilio song. Because you're paying millions towards your own future that you can't even see that well because you're just 25. When are you ever going to retire? I don't need to be putting all that much money in my pension fund. I probably think that I'm going to be okay. If you give me some of that money, I need it. I need medical aid. So I came from a history of taking out, what do you call this thing? Baby tongue set up in a hospital plan. I was always on hospital plan, y'all. I'm grateful to the Lord that my immune system is up there with the rest of them. Because if I was sickly, I was always going to spend my time in these shoddy hospitals and these public joints that are just ridiculous. Because in Jackina Chilete, influenza. For crying out loud. Yeah. Thank goodness my immune system helped. Because if not, I would have seen more insides of public clinics and hospitals than I would have ever appreciated, because I was always on a hospital plan that even then only pays for hospitalization and not so much you just walking in as a walk-in patient into a hospital just to get antibiotics. Like, hey, yo. Because to try and get comprehensive medical aid or just some kind of plan that makes sense that's going to pay some of your bills, well, I should be setting you back taxi fare, dog, like the whole month. I'm not taxi fare just because you got medical aid. So you go on a hospital plan because cost to company, Yahonata. It amputates you like a bad Herod after taking the head of John the Baptist. Beheading right there, decapitating. Got pension fund provident, just like that. KFC. Yeah, until I started working for MTN and I was on a medical aid called CAMF. And I don't remember in all of the 5 years of my employment there ever having to pay for anything. Whenever I went to doctors, goodness. Thanks to working at MTN, I finally went to a dermatologist. It was paid for. Even though I paid for at first out of my own pocket because you have to pay and then claim. When I claimed, all of it was in my bank account. All of it. Within like a week or something, I was like, Bato, how long have I wanted to go to a dermatologist because I wanted to get off Diane 35 contraceptives in order to deal with my skin, because frankly, I started using birth control. No, not because I didn't want to have babies, but because I was tired of acne after getting out of high school. And somebody said that, take the pill, it'll deal with your acne, and it did. So I was first on Yaz, and then I was on Diane 35, that blew me up. Out here looking like Augustus Gloop for a season. I was fattened, but my skin was so clear. It was porcelain. And it also helped with me not falling pregnant under my ex-boyfriend. But my biggest reason for birth control was literally my skin. And when I came to Christ, because I was no longer fornicating, I was like, I am sick and tired of using something that it prevents babies from being born in order to deal with my acne. So I'm gonna go and experiment with a dermatologist to see if at all something can be done for me without me having to be on this pill thingy, my bobby. And when I went, lo and behold, everything was paid for. I was like, I tried to go to a dermatologist before on other medical aids that I'd been on before when I was still under my mom's medical aid as a child, and then some El Cheapo plan in the very beginning, and the cost was just so lofty that I was like, it's alright. There was a time when I took Roaccutane from some dermatologist that prescribed it. I had to buy it cash, all of it. It made me so sick because he did not do blood tests, nothing. He did not take the right measurements for my weight, size, and whatnot. So basically it was like an overdose. I was vomiting at work all over the show. At the time I used to work for Netbank, a relatively decent job, but you know, it was a bank. Cost of company schmossed like Papa. You don't have a real net salary. They were playing games there. So I was on some stupid plan, and this dermatologist, how much that Roaccutane cost me over the counter, given that I was vomiting on it, I was like, "Evening sugar." And then I went out and just grabbed some pills and popped them. I was on Diane, and that didn't make me sick, it just made me fat, so I was cool. I kept it. Yeah, for the first time in my life, I was like, okay, look, I'm making enough money in these streets to supplement whatever out of pocket I have to pay at the derma guy. So let me go see a dermatologist. I'm in Christ now, so I'm not fornicating, so I'm not going to fall pregnant. Let me drop this pill down the toilet. I go see a dermatologist. I'm prepared to pay 50%, 70%, 75, 35%. Dermatologist actually gives me a script, a bill. I claim medical aid, all of it, back in my bank account. I was like, yeah, well, I mean, when the dermatology did that for me, I then started to get prescription glasses every year. Why under heaven must I wait 2 years for my old pair of glasses to break, to develop a crutchy limp, and walk out on me? I am going to get my Chanel every year, my Gucci every year. I'm going to get a new pair, and on top of that, I'm going to get contact lenses. MTN has so many benefits under CAMF that even me getting contact lenses right next to a prescription pair of glasses came recommended by employees of the ophthalmologist where I went, because MTN had a deal that they had made with that company to give me so much in this optometry benefit that I could literally get a frame Chanel that is fully paid for by the medical aid right next to a 12-month supply of contact lenses. And I was like, if I can interchange, why not? The optometrist lady there told me, you can. Under MTN, we have a deal with them. I was like, bring it. When I was at MTN, I saw a dietitian that was paid for. Gym membership was practically free. And I barely ever felt the pinch of me paying for medical aid, and it was not even comprehensive. It It wasn't a comprehensive plan on CAMF. I don't remember paying for anything. I literally just did things because I could. I was never sickly, so that I didn't get to experiment with just going to the doctor like 7 times a month. Yeah, but like things like optometry, dentistry, dermatology. I even went for some strange little massage on my buttocks to remove cellulite under some esthetician claiming that is a post-operative procedure that I did, and I was able to claim it under medical aid because I had some surgery done around my knee area, and it was justified not under cosmetic surgery. It was justified under, apparently, what do they call this, like therapeutic post like surgery therapy or whatever, and I actually got free massages for like 7 weeks. I enjoyed those sessions, and apparently they cleared a cellulite. I can't really vouch for that. I can't really vouch for whether they cleared cellulite, but it was certainly like going to a masseuse once a week under medical aid. The stuff like that happened at MTN. Right, that was the organization. So basically staff benefits were through the roof. And then coming from a bank, y'all would know, right? If you've ever worked for banks, I don't know if that's still a thing. Maybe they've changed to incentivize staff members more, right? Mara banks, bonus schmonus. I worked for Nedbank 1 year. When I was working for Nedbank 1 year, bonus time. Ah, goodness, I got 2,300 Rand as a bonus. What the heck? 2,300. When I got it, I was like, yo, this is like Kerry or something. It's just extra pocket money in a tuck shop, like, you know, when your parents pack your lunch for you and then they give you 5 Rand or like a mazimba. That's what that bonus was. Like, these people don't for Kerry. It can't do anything. A bonus is supposed to be able to pay off an outstanding car installment or significantly reduce your bond. You know, it can help you put a down payment on a car, down payment on a house. It can enable you, like a bonus app on a can make a huge difference in your financial life. It can even buy you a small car sometimes. Connect bank one feel okay. You know, like I take 5 go take shop on. I was like, yes, like it, whatever. So you would imagine when then I started working for MTN and I got my first bonus under them, having only been there for a fraction of the time. I wasn't there the entire year. I started in August. I started working for MTN in August of 2009, and my first bonus here for MTN was 35,000 rands. And their financial year was from, I forgot, was it April to April? Was it March to March? Was it June to June? I stand corrected, but I was not there the whole year, so essentially my bonus was prorated, and I got about 35,000 rands. I was like, what in the world? And even then, my appraisal score was not like, I was not flying. I did not get such a lofty appraisal score that it would warrant that kind of bonus. I was like, yo, this is why people stay in this joint. This is why I want to buy a ploma lana. 35,000 rands for a person that's been working for the company for 6 months, 7 months only. And in a corner on an appraisal score that's basically like half or something. I'm staying. Like, this place is the place to be. I not only got benefits of medical aid, benefits, just random weird things that I just got in Jafela all over the show. But my salary, my cost of company, when then I asked for a mock-up salary, a mock-up pay slip from HR, just to see how much I would be getting for net before I can make an informed decision as to whether or not I'm going to take this job. When they brought back my mock pay slip, I was like, this is my net from this kind of salary. Understand? MTN took me from Kijima, where I was a contractor, and so I was not paying pension, provident. I was only paying tax. You know how it is with contract, right? However, MTN was essentially cost of company type establishment thing where they deduct all that stuff that they deduct, and then you get your net salary. So I was expecting to take home, if not the same, perhaps slightly less than whatever that I was earning at Kijima, because I was a contractor, and I had explained to you guys before that I took a demotion because I couldn't stand the atmosphere at Kijima, blah blah blah. So I expected my salary to be lowlier. When I asked HR for a mock-up payslip, I was getting 4,000 rands more than I got at Kijima, where I was at, and this was with like net, right? This was with medical aid ebona galang. This was with all different kinds of other little strange perks and benefits, and with pension and provident fund, both of them where the company pays half of my pension and I only pay half of my pension. They also pay half of my provident and I pay half. They also had random funeral benefits, blah, blah, blah. Just so many things. Like if at all I were to die, my family would get like 100,000 rands. I already had like a life policy. There were so many benefits. Yes, like at MTN was like a buffet. Do you understand? And then on top of that, money that I just got to take home as it's my own. With it, I'm going to buy that final KFC. I'm going to get it 4,000 rands more. And that would just keep happening. Right? Year on year. Not only that, okay, fine. Look, in terms of the salary increase every year, typical, every year is like 3 to 5%, 6% if you're really having a great day. But the thing here with MTN was not so much my 5% yearly increases, was the fact that feasibility for promotion was a real prospect. It was a real thing. In the sense that you're not going to be made to sit around in a position for 20 years before you can finally get a job promotion that's going to make any kind of dent in your salary. People were getting promotions within just a year of being employed, 6 months of being employed. Insofar as you can display that you can do cartwheels, they would give you a promotion. And when you got a promotion, you likely bumped up a level, or a portion of a level, and you could get on your net from that bump anything upwards of 8 to 10,000 rands salary increase from the same company. So if you were working for MTN for like 5 years, that would be working there for like 5 years, and in that 5-year season would have gotten 2 promotions, and so therefore literally added a cool 20,000 rands on their net salaries. Lomuntu Lona is making a salary that if they had stayed at Standard Bank at FNB, they never would have seen this kind of salary in their 20s. I saw this wonderful work of art happening. I walked into MTN and I saw people in their late 20s, early 30s, living lifestyles that were similar to people that are pushing 40, people that are 45, people that have had to basically do a whole chunk of time in corporate South Africa, but within very young professional spaces, they were living those kinds of lives. Yeah, I was like, yo, this place is the place to be, right? I personally gained from that ecosystem, where it is that I grew because I guess in spite of my qualifications, they saw that I could do the job, and I got those kinds of salary bumps. When I lost my job, I was only 3 years in the new space that I was in, and I was vying for promotion to program manager, albeit having been an intermediary project manager for those 3 years for MTN, and then there was a 1 year at Gijima. They were prepared to make me a program manager because I was good enough. Whether or not, in order for you to be a program manager, according to other companies, you needed to be, first of all, not just PMBOK, but maybe Agile, Scrum Master, right next to a PMP, and 20,000 years of experience. And of course, a bachelor's degree in whichever space, and you need to have had this many years of SDLC, in particular project management, otherwise they're not going to take you seriously. They went and they grabbed a woman with literally none of that and said, we'll put you on PMP. We'll put you on Agile and Scrum Master training. We'll put you on this, that, and the other in due season. But for now, you can do the job. Can you run with it? Take it. Hit the ground running. And I did. I soared like a bird. If at all people had not pulled the rug from underneath my feet, I would have been taken to school by MTN. I would have finished my degree. I would have gone on to do my honors. I would have gone on to do my PMP. I would have gone on to acquire for myself accreditation as a Scrum Master. As a Scrum Master. Agile. Prince 2 likely. I already had PMBOK. I was going to get all those things did, because that was the plan. That was on my, what do they call it, KPI plan, the one, for the future, what do you want to do with the binoculars and everything? I was already on that, and the company was going to pay for me to do all that. I just needed to basically remain in the employee of the organization until the organization itself literally pulled the rug from underneath my feet, and so it was like that lackluster toys throwing out the quadrando teenage buffoonery that was an excellent student at some point, but now you're dropping the ball because you trust everybody's going to have your crazy back, right? And then you end up dying from a drug overdose or whatever. That was MTN. It was the place to be. It was an awesome organization to work for. It was, of course, it made sense. Why? And then it was employee of choice for many years in a row. It was also brand, top brand, #1 brand globally for years in a row as well. It was just killing it, alright? The company was killing it and it was kicking it. And because it was killing it and kicking it, it got pompous. It got arrogant. Paul said in the scriptures that, God, please don't give me so very much that I will forget you, but also don't give me so very little that I will steal. So essentially give me just enough with contentment shall I be. I know I'll be brought low, how to abound, etc. Right? With everything that I have, let me be content, because too much money can ruin a soul, but so too can too little. People have withheld from me resources so that I can basically steal, but you see I'm already in Christ, so dream on dreamer. However, the ones who are stealing from me have been given so much that they think they're God now. They've been given so much that all they do is forget that God lives, and MTN was like that. Like proper, the Lord Ajay blessed the founding fathers of that organization with prosperity, and then everybody else that would grab the baton going forward would then drop the ball violently. Drop the ball even against the founding fathers, the way that they sort of kind of shoot like, chaff, driving out Ingati there, an unruly rando in a nightclub. Karabo. It is of course that MTN now has shot itself in the foot to a point where one day, like I prophesied the other day, they're going to pay me upwards of 70 million rands in damages, or 60 from what the Lord showed me. It's going to bleed that company from its corruption, because they went and they grabbed their founding father and they scooted him like chaff, like he was nothing, like he absolutely contributed nothing, when they could easily just fire chairmen of boards or founders of organizations after the company goes public, when they could just easily fire people like that were the heartbeat and the originator of the organization. That is the Lord looking at the condemnation of the righteous and the acquittal of the wicked. That is the Lord looking at individuals out here on the earthly planet, on our planet Earth, having no regard for the contribution that an individual put into an ecosystem at first, so there is no reward for hard work. And secondly, the uprooting of the right people in favor of the ones who are prepared to pedal, essentially, just a severity of corruption. And that's what was happening, go MT. And the individuals that started out with the organization at the very get-go, the ones that have been there pretty much are like wood and the furniture that actually is keeping the organization intact, the ones that are like the pillars that Samson out here brought low, and in his death killing more Philistines than he did when he was alive. That's one scared, yeah. The ones that were like the pillars, the pillars that Samson would bring low, because proper, we're bringing them low. Yeah. Those guys that were the pillars that Samson eventually brings down. They're the ones that had these stories that looked into the sky with nostalgia, glassy eyes because they were teary. Awesome, you don't know. I could think of better days when them tears was not so crazy. Why did Karabo succeed so much in the beginning of MTN's start? Right? It is because, listen, these are the stories. Okay, you talk about MTN. It would be like listening to your grandmother telling you the stories of Sophia Town and the way Hlongwane before they started to Molotov cocktail black pubs in the days of apartheid. You would sit there and listen with curiosity like a little child and be like, those were the days that I've been missing. You thought of that one? Apparently, allegedly, Karabo and co, like basically the founders of MTN, the way that they were so short-staffed and their company was growing so crazy fast, they went and they grabbed from the taxi ranks, random people out there queuing on some, do you want a job? At MTN, come work. Apparently, the HR executive, Tembanyati, that participated in the mutiny against my life was among those that were hand-picked almost like fishies at the ocean to just come in and work because go busy, go breed taxi rank or go north somewhere in downtown Joburg. And then he was placed in the organization, and because of him sitting there, working there, grinding, burning the midnight oil, he ultimately was awarded with an LLB over time, got his qualifications, and by the time I lost everything under his tyranny, you know, how I said earlier, just because you fought in the struggle doesn't mean you ought to be maintained as a going concern. That was Tembanyati. Yeah, he was the executive of HR at MTN. Or whatnot. That was among the stories. Like I told you, you would be like a child chilling at a fireplace listening to grandmama's stories about Sophia Town. That's how they were recruiting go MTN. Abantu balando ema taxi rank because the company was growing so fast, they were understaffed, they didn't have time to go through a rigorous recruitment process. So people would be made to get in their cars and go to downtown Joburg and just grab people and be like, do you want a job at MTN? Do you want a job at MTN? Do you want a job at MTN? Okay, come, Rosa. And then they would get trained up, and those people who started out in that rudimentary place that would never have been awarded that opportunity not only were given skills, good salaries, but they were taken through school, got master's degrees, the MBA. They got promoted quickly with no discrimination as to your race. So you see, it's evidence of the fact that BEE is problematic. MTN is evidence of the fact that BEE is problematic. Karabo was a white man. He went and recruited a whole bunch of black people. Insofar as they proved that they could do the job, he promoted them, not because they were red, white, pink, or purple, but because they were right for the job. So therefore, you don't need to incentivize white people to hire you in a job by forcing it down their throats, using race-based laws. They are human enough, some of them, not all, because there will always be factions of people who are racist, to discover talent where it is present, and so therefore appropriately rewarded, because mankind is inherently self-preserving. And so if somebody is really good at their job and they are benefiting your organization as it is thriving and growing, they're not going to withhold from you that particular opportunity for no other reason than being a barrier to entry. If at all, it is defeatist for the growth of the organization to exsanguinate or extinct that resource. It is an important input, so eventually you will acknowledge the credit where it is due. For instance, if you've seen this show, the movie on Netflix, Hidden Figures, Taraji, it's based on a true story. Those women were excellent and good at what they did. And you can't ignore people based on race for an extended period of time when they're the only ones that can achieve a particular feat. So eventually you will be given credit where it is due. If at all you're good at your job, even if you are at odds with your boss or at odds with somebody, they will discover that it is defeatist for them to get another skill in the room. You cannot treat people like children that are untrained, that do not know that something that they're doing could hurt them. So by forcing BEE down white people's throats, you patronize them and say that you don't have it in you to hire a perfectly skilled black person insofar as you don't have to. You are patronizing them into thinking that they will always choose a white dude even though he sucks in comparison to a black girl. You're not giving people a chance to prove that that's a thing. And Karabo, basically the beginnings of MTN. Evidence. MTN was always, from the very get-go, a hugely diversified organization where you would find in high levels of management all different kinds of races, black, pink, purple, pink. You would not know that you are in racially divided South Africa. You would not know that you are in this unequal country that you are in. When you are inside MTN, it was like a utopia on its own. It was a mock-up, an example. It was, what do you call this thing? It was a barometer that many organizations ought to have operated under. Karabo did not. He could have just gone, listen, in terms of him hiring people that could quickly work on a job, he could have just gone to Wits University and tried to recruit a whole bunch of white students in particular, or gone to some lonely white neighborhood and been like, hey, give me your sons, give me your daughters, so that I can put them in my company, in my employ. He could have gone hunting for white kids, or just Indian, or just coloreds, but instead, we literally go pre-taxi rank and brought people in and awarded salaries that were, listen, MTN, the salaries there were so lofty that they set people up for failure pertaining the market. You could have a job inside MTN and earn a certain salary, and when then you try to apply for the same job in another company, they would be like, your salary is way above market. That's how it was at MTN. So they not only hired black folk, a whole bunch of them, to take on jobs. They not only hired a whole bunch of black folk to take on jobs therein, but they also gave them salaries that were above market. All the way down from the call center. The salaries of call center agents at MTN, I would imagine that's still a thing even still to this day, are far superior in comparison to the salaries, entry-level salaries of many call center agents across South Africa. Go call center, maybe after patronizing you will remember, you guys, right? If you at all started at the call center. But the patronize, I guess 6,000 to 8,000 rands in your starting salary. Go MTN, they were getting 12 to 15. That's how it was. So understand that when you're sitting, go pre-taxi rank, about to get on a taxi to go to some strange job, and they ask you how much are you getting paid, go to the company where you are about to go right now, and then you are like 10,000, and then they're like, we'll give you 15 if you start today. You will leave. You will literally not get on that taxi to go to the company where you work, and you will rather go to MTN. And that's how, apparently, allegedly, it's an urban legend, I don't know if it's true, but it probably is. That's how Tembanyanti's career started at MTN. And by the time that I was fired, he was still working there, the way that there is such staying power in that company, the way that staff turnover was so low. People never quit. And they kept on voting for the company as employer of choice year on year until I came on board. And it was still winning employer of choice, but it was on its way out. It was tapering. It was thinning out. People stayed in that company, and I believe that might still be the case today. But the level of corruption that has ever since then infiltrated, because when something is not maintained on structure and on purpose, it'll eventually fall apart. Right now, because MTN was in such a rush to grow, and because there was such a huge demand for the product, and they were just burgeoning, they did not quite pin down to the ground, right? Their processes sucked. They essentially kind of, sucked things out of their fingers and did it. Flew like birds, soared. There was such high demand for their product that it basically sold itself in spite of them being lackluster in terms of ISO, in terms of CMMI, basically all of these procedural rules and regulations, auditing firms that they needed to fulfill. But thankfully, when you're in a young organization, they will tell you that, look, you've got 5 years to get your act together and you have to have this particular CMMI score by this particular year. If you don't, we're going to not sanction you. Well, right now we're talking about the country, so it's called sanctions, right? But in terms of an organization, it's just governance fines, like just heavy hard knock fines for not adhering to corporate regulations from the country for that particular body, regulatory bodies that govern your particular industry. So ICASA and what do you call this? The telecommunications laws of the country, blah, blah, you get my point? They will fine you heavy, and of course, just general procedural laws for organizations in the country at all, in spite of industry. If at all you're not adhering to all of their rules, regulations, and basically whatever it is that you can adhere to, they will eventually, if you excel or exhaust the leniency period that they give you, just law by you with fines. And so therefore, when then they were met with procedural holes in their processes and all that jazz, it became evident that we need to start honoring certain governmental regulations pertaining what we gotta do in these streets. We have to be in tandem with the law, so we have to start getting our act together. So then that's when MTN started, seeing as they were so immature in terms of processes, leaning on the expertise of people that came from very process-strong industries like banking. They started to see that there was benefit in hiring the people who come from rote, mundane, rigorous, boring, bureaucratic jobs that are very procedurally kept in a neat little bunch. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Remember how it is that they would grab people from the street that did not know anything and train them up in the ropes and then give them promotions. But these people had not been trained officially. They had not been trained structurally in order to basically be stewarding employees of an organization. So they went on right ahead to grab employees from outside of MTN and deliberately targeted like banks because the company was so immature procedurally. So there's no better place to gain like anal procedure than from banking. You would know, right? Yeah. It was when these banking employees, these employees that came from all over these Johannesburg and South Africa streets, just generally, maybe even Africa. They came from all these other industries. They came from yes, the ICT space, but IT. Like, they came from IT companies. They came from banking. They came from FMCGs, like food, right? Textiles, basically whatever other engineering, all these people that came from all these other industries and started flooding into MTN as it was growing, so the staff numbers grew. That's when the ugly, gnarly fangs of envy started to happen, because you see, when you're grabbed from a taxi rank as Tambanyati to basically do a job and you end up manning a department, you end up heading, a department, and then some dude that went to Wits University, got an honors degree, is studying for their masters or their MBA. They've got all these years in their belt. They come from a procedural strong space like a bank. They had to do the time. They have worn orange. They are calloused like calisthenics athletes on their hands because they've been getting all fit and muscular. But they have been robbed of speedy growth like Sonic the Hedgehog. They've been robbed of astronomical skyrocketing growth like Sonic the Hedgehog. Because they've been working for MTN, for Nedbank after all. They've been working for Standard Bank after all. They've been working for apps after all. They've been working for Hijima after all. They've been working for all of these other companies that are to be giving you work experience over 20,000 years while you're still in the same job. These jobs that insist that because you're 25 years old, you can't possibly man an entire department. So they just keep you out here looking like they're hooking up administration tasks until you turn 39. These people that came from better companies and procedures, basically they were taught throughout their careers from the time they got out of university how to be by the book. When they were hired at MTN, and it was this fluid, flaccid environment that needed strengthening. Their expertise was so astronomical. They were so stellar. They were so good at what they did, working before individuals that were not trained in this fashion, and it caused them to be so possessive of the company that they literally functioned as barriers to entry to new employees as the years progressed. So in the infancy, in the toddler years of MTN, everybody was happy to embrace it. Come all, we'll teach you, we'll train you, we'll take you to WITS, we'll take you to UCT, we'll take you to UNISA. We will also give you an entire department to run. And insofar as we're making money, we're not going to complain. And then we're going to give you violent bonuses even when you're sitting in the call center. One of my colleagues was a dude that came from the call center and he had been working for call centering. The way that MTN used to pay such high salaries and give such heavy bonuses, people will be out just sitting in the call center from 22 to 33. What's up, boy, get out. Get call center money. It's what, please, Otalima. This dude stayed in the call center for near on a decade because he was earning graduate salaries and getting bonuses like he's a GM. Until he was like, oh no, I'm in my 30s now. I'm carrying a walking stick. I need to get out. And then he became an administrator in my department. By the time I started working for MTN, he was like 35 or something. And my colleagues and I, his peers, were 25, who were 10 years younger than him. You are going to waste time in a dumb job when you're getting a really good salary in it. And when you're getting really great bonuses in it, you will keep on taking calls. You're not even a supervisor, but you are content. That guy, hey guys, listen, that call center agent, that administrator for our programs that used to be a call center agent, when I started working for MTN, his house was nearly fully paid. He had a bond on a house that was nearly fully paid. He was only 33. How did he nearly fully pay his bond? Kari bonus that MTN used to give staff. I told you that, guys, that my first bonus there was about 35,000 rands. Apparently, allegedly, this guy was in the call center, I get. He was in the call center, I'm not sure. That oak. Yeah, so he's not quite a GM, alright? They used to give bonuses to call center agents that would make general managers abashed. Do you understand? This dude was just a mere call center agent administrating MTN, not policies, but what do you call this? Contracts. Well, prepaid. It was largely prepaid. That's what he was doing. That was his job. Wahlala for almost a decade, to a point of being able to pay off in React. He says that my first bonus was 35,000 rands. It was the biggest I'd ever got in any company, and I was only there for a couple of months. And apparently that was child's play. It was a pin drop in the ocean because call center agents used to get the bonus at 200,000, 300,000 rands every year. I mean, when you get a bonus, you're 200 or 300,000. Dude, your little mukuku wako deep slot, you're gonna pay it off, do you understand? Your little mukuku in Cosmo City and Soweto Deep Cliff, you're gonna pay it off. Your little mukuku in Manchester Hills, you are going to pay half of it, do you understand? You are gonna take that money, and instead of having to trudge through the streets of corporate South Africa for 20 years and patala bond, you're going to pay that bond off in 2.5 years because your organization pays you bonuses that can enable you to pay your bond in just 3 years if you decide to use all of it to pay off your bond. This dude, his house was nearly fully paid. And he was only 33, and he was working at MTN for nearly 10 years. He didn't have the house for 10 years. He owned it maybe for like 7. So he basically paid off a bond in like 7 years because of the bonus circumcision. This guy had a son. He had a bond that he was paying. He was taking care of Mewateni. Like, there was just so much that he had as a responsibility, and yet his bond was nearly paid. So he was like, because I get 35,000 Karabo. We've seen hundreds of thousands of rands coming through to us. Let's say it's our call center. So, I mean, if you're getting hundreds of thousands of rands as a call center agent as a bonus, what is an executive getting? What is a senior manager getting? What is a CEO getting? That was how MTN motivated staff. That's how they kept them in a bunch. That's how they kept winning employer of choice, blah, 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 year on year. Brand of choice. They rewarded handsomely. They started, like I said, they were the star kid. The Bible says, Jesus, God, He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. If you wait on the Lord, He will award you. It's written according to His word. Everything you need, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. If you are generous, if you give, it will be given back to you. And also, neither eye has seen, no mind conceived, no ear heard the things which God has prepared for those who wait for Him. That what it is that He gives us is exceedingly abundantly above anything at all that we can ever think to ask for. Therefore, when you are godly, you reward when your ways are like those of God. It's written in Philippians 4 verse 8 that whatever is pure, whatever is just, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, whatever is excellent, if there is anything worthy of praise, think on these things. Okay, so therefore, be you godly or not, when you walk in godly principles, you are on that day praiseworthy. You are on that day worthy of being thought about, ruminated over. And MTN, yes, fine, the company was not necessarily Christian, but there were Christian principles being embarked on there in the beginning stages of its thingy, because it rewarded people exceedingly and abundantly above anything at all that they could ever think to ask for. It rewarded them for those who diligently worked in the organization. They worked diligently and then were rewarded just like God rewards. And that which they got was exceedingly and abundantly above what it is that they could ever fathom to ask. They were basically walking in godly principles. If a person puts in the time, reward them and handsomely. The company was getting bumper profits, and so it significantly rewarded staff. It did not hold back on them. the organization did not, in the spirit of growth, basically pinch their fingers, be tight-fisted against the staff, and invest the money back into the company while continuing to slave drive employees. It made sure that it significantly rewarded those who enabled the company to get to the place where it got. It was not tight-fisted, it was not stingy, it was generous, and so basically the Lord gave it back, seeing as it was generous to staff. Profits that were pressed down, shaken together, and running over. MTN today is the be-all and end-all of the biggest, baddest telecommunications company, never mind in South Africa, but in Africa. And it is still quite a recognizable brand still to this day. Do you understand? Because it tends to take a minute for a monolith to fall once it has out here betrayed its first love. Alright? Yeah, anyway, that's how it was. So by the time I came to MTN, it was already a derelict teenager. It was throwing his toys out the cart. It was, however, still passing in school. Mara, it was also schnoffing lines of cocaine every second weekend at the party. It was already on its way out. It was already acting up. But I caught it at a place where I caught it when it was acting up, but I'd only ever known the acting up because I was new in its acting up teenage years. But other people could think of better days, so MTN was so much better. I don't know what you've been wrong. I can never see tomorrow. Yeah, they were singing that song. But I was like, yeah, but to me, I've happened upon something beautiful. Yeah, I see flowers growing. No, I just saw trees that were green. I saw red roses too. I saw them blue for me. Then I thought to myself, what a wonderful company. I only saw Louis Armstrong. Oh, yeah. I only ever saw the trees that are green, the red roses too. I saw them bloom for me and you. I only saw a great organization because I came from Kijima. I mean, do the math. Hard knock IT bureaucracy. It's giving typewriter. It's boring sounding. I came from Nedbank. I came from Liberty Life. I came from an insurance company for personal lines. I came from these companies that were out here giving... Essentially, the end of the song, the end of the song, my heart will go on your Titanic while the Titanic is sinking. It was just, I'm not staying here. But the song that was going on in the background every time I was working at Nedbank was every night in my dream. I see you, I feel you. That is how I know you. Go on. Kind of thing. I'm singing about my career. Yeah, far wherever you are. I could not find my bearings. It was taking forever for me to get to where I need to get, but my heart still went on and on. The other companies I worked for, it was giving Titanic and Jack was dying. MTN was, I see trees are green, red roses true, I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I saw a dietitian, I saw a dermatologist, I got perks, dog. World Cup. I started working at MTN in 2009. I don't know how many matches I went to when South Africa got the bid to host the 2010 World Cup. I was Bashmir. I think I was a teenager or something. I think I was still a teenager and I was so excited. Everybody was like up and down the streets of my neighborhood celebrating as Africa won the bid for the World Cup 2010. Okay, congratulations, South Africa, do you, girl? Never in my life did I ever think that I would attend like so many matches. Because I mean, one World Cup ticket will set you back $1 million, okay? I went because MTN was the official sponsor of the 2010 World Cup to so many matches. The reason I went to all those matches was because I was pretty. I got recruited to be a host, like a stadium host, like a chaperone, a concierge, or whatever, and the bathrooms go empty in one time by some chicken marketing on some "you're pretty, don't you want to be part of the group host program for 2010 or whatever." I was like, okay, thank you. And then my boss gave permission and whatnot. So as a result of being part of that group hosting program, I was, thanks to hosting clients that were MTN. There were MTN customers, MTN was hosting the World Cup, okay? I got to go to quite a few stadiums, quite a few matches, and not only that, I also got to go in my own personal capacity, like all staff got tickets to go to matches. But then if you were part of the hosting program, every so often you got to go to a match because the clients did not come and pick up their ticket and it was just there. So you got on the bus and you went to the stadium. So I watched a few matches with this friend of mine and we just enjoyed, like Papa, Vuvuzela and what have you. So my World Cup experience was excellent. A whole bunch of my family members got to go to matches. Because of me, I was able to hook my boyfriend up with a couple of tickets to go and watch some matches because I had extras, yeah. So, I mean, when you are out here living in a country that's hosting a global event and you work for the company that is a sponsor, you've landed like a lottery, for crying out loud. So I went to World Cup matches, I got tickets to, I got given like free, dude, like MTN was like a juicy, like castle, like a children's air castle, like a jumping castle. That was just super juicy. It was giving like Alice in Wonderland before it gets awry. It was Wonderland. That company was Wonderland because there was a massive rabbit hole that I had no clue of. But it was fun in certain spots, and I never enjoyed that kind of benefit and just working for a company. It's like I was an executive. Like some people have to wait to become executives or general managers, quite senior staff in a company to get those kinds of perks, like where you just get given free tickets to go places and you've got airport lounge access to certain things. Like even the fact that I was on private banking was because I worked for MTN and they had like a special deal with FNB, like stuff like that, okay? And then in my project, like there was this one project that I did and my colleague was talking to certain airport companies in order to award people certain VIP lounge rights, and he, even though he was not part of that particular perk, I believe he was which company was he working? I think Standard Bank. I don't know. I think we had a business deal with Standard Bank and whatnot, and they were offering private banking clients of Standard Bank that perk under private banking. He was offering them that perk under private banking, and he had access to certain VIP, certain VIP features at the airports, and he was supposed to give them to clients, and indeed they were supposed to go to clients, but whatever was change left over on the side, change, essentially just maverick, just hanging out, he got to take it himself. So if he was traveling just to take Cape Town or whatever, if he was traveling just in Jeffel on holiday, decides to go to Zanzibar, he would get like a first class experience even though he paid economy, or yeah, you get my point, for an economy ticket, even though he didn't get a flight that was VIP. He would, however, get VIP lounge type treatment because he had the tickets, because that was his job. Like, we just had access to all these things, alright? It was some of the perks. So that dude was on my level. He was a segment manager. I was a project manager. Such perks you tend to get when you are, like I said, company executive, or you're a general manager over a department. You get perks. But for MTN, literally, people at the lowliest levels got perks of that nature. They got perks of that nature. Even the janitorial staff were able to go to World Cup matches. That is the kind of employment structure that the Lord awards, alright? So it's written in God's word about the millennial reign of Jesus Christ, that no longer is a person going to work by the sweat of their brow, essentially plant a vineyard and not be able to eat of its fruit. So no more blue-collar labor, do you understand? Where a person is going to be building your house, adding tiles, out here painting your walls, out here adding marble kitchen tops, out here making sure that everything is gold-plated. You've got the perfect cornices and skirting and cornices all over your walls and whatnot, getting all different kinds of wonderful, excellent, stellar finishes for your house, and then go and live in a shack. Like, according to the scriptures, that's not going to be a thing in the millennial reign. Like, if you work like a dog to build a house, you're going to live in it. You're going to live in it. Because that's how the Lord works. He's equitable. He does not award a man's labor based on qualification by classes to structures as to whether or not this is a valuable job to do, so call it white collar. He awards you based on you put in the time, honey, then you are going to live in that beautiful house as a result.